Time now for Better Money Boston. What if you're forced out of your job? David Shapiro is a financial advisor at Johnson Brunetti, and he's here to walk us through some of our options. It's great to be with you, David. Unfortunately, this can really catch some people by surprise.
And Megan, it's not a great surprise.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those considerations. This is a very real issue. We're seeing it here in the Northeast. What should we be thinking about? Can we even be prepared for it?
Well, it's important to have a plan. It's important to have an analysis done on what does it look like if you don't go back to work, and have an understanding of where you're going to be able to get the money to support yourself if you do plan on going back to work or eventually retire.
Okay, when we're doing that hypothetical analysis, really walking through what would happen to ourselves, our family, if we don't go back to work, what should we be thinking about within that?
Well, one area most people tend to underestimate is the healthcare costs. Unless you're age 65, those costs can be substantial getting up to that point. So taking that into account is important.
Okay, and what about Medicare considerations? What should we know?
Medicare is complicated. It's important to have a plan for Medicare just like you do all other parts of your life, and it can be expensive, and there's a lot of different components that go in to determine what that cost is going to be. So it's important to have a plan.
Okay, if someone is being forced with this scenario, being forced out of their job, what else should they consider?
Well, many people think that automatically you should wait until age 70 with Social Security to get the most out. And we tend to think that it's important to look at the overall picture. Do you have other resources? There are other sources of income. There's ways to maximize Social Security, which should be part of the overall process, making that decision.
Okay, that's interesting. Not automatically waiting until 70 to take Social Security. You don't always hear that. It sounds like we're looking at ways to optimize Social Security here.
It's a permanent one-time decision. You really want to make sure you have a conversation with a professional to make sure you make the best possible for you.
Okay, finally, if people are looking at this scenario, forced out of their job, what else should they think about?
Well, I would say get financial guidance. Make sure you work with a team that understands the uniqueness, because it can be a scary time, but by having a dedicated team behind you, we can make this go very well for you.
Absolutely, and knowing that you're not alone. And you have a free resource for people today. Talk about that, David.
We do. We have a terrific free offer that's available. You'll get a lot of value from this. It's Can You Retire If Offered a Buyout?
Okay, so if that's you, if you're wondering if you can retire, if you're being presented a buyout, you want to have all the information in front of you, go to bettermoneyboston.com to get that free guide today. David, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Megan.
And that's Better Money Boston.